Hey music lovers, yes, I'm back again. It's been a week. Um, Thought I'd do something slightly different, or maybe a repeat, a slight repeat. You'll see what I mean in a minute. Um, I thought I'd come up with another imaginary album. Now, those wonderful people who watched my Beyond ABBA Gold video will have known that I made an imaginary album with tracks that ABBA recorded from their studio albums that weren't on any of the greatest hits, weren't on any of the collections, weren't on ABBA Gold, where I delved deep into the ABBA oeuvre, and I thought, well, I'm sure I can come up with an idea for another imaginary album, and the one I came up with was Under the Covers. Now, Under the Covers is a collection of tracks that I own on 7-inch vinyl. Now, these aren't necessarily the greatest covers of all time, which is probably Johnny Cash's cover of 9-Inch Nails, Hurt. But they are covers that I'm incredibly fond of, and I really do love each and every one of these. I'm sure some of these suggestions or some of these tracks are going to raise a few eyebrows, particularly one, I think. But I love them, and they kind of managed to put on together a 12-track album that would make a perfect Hallmark Pickwick kind of real budget cobbled together album. So here we go. Right. Track 1. Well, I don't know whether Pickwick would have put something out containing some of these tracks, but it would have been an ace compilation anyway. Well, I think so. Right. Side 1, track 1. We have Lieback, and we have Life is Life. Now, for those who don't know, Lieback were from the former Yugoslavia, and they were a ultra left-wing political performance collective who decided that the best way to take the mickey out of the totalitarian regime of Yugoslavia at the time was to basically ape a fascist group. So what they did was all their music was basically proto or full-on fascist marching music. Now, I mean, that is a concept and a half, really. It is absolutely brilliant. Now, for those of you who were around in Europe in the mid-80s, there was a band called Opus, I think, who did a real sing-along song called Life is Life, and it was crap. Lieback got hold of it and turned it into a glorious piece of marching music. I mean, I know I probably shouldn't find this as stirring as I do, but there's something about it that I just find unbelievably addictive. I just love this song. So there's the first track, Life is Life by Lieback. Oh, by the way, he also did a good version of One Vision by Queen. Fantastic version of that, plus covers of Let It Be and Sympathy for the Devil and all kinds of stuff. Right, following on from that, track 2, we've got this one, which is The Age of Chance and their cover of Prince's Kiss. This runs Johnny Cash so close as one of the greatest covers of all time. It should be that way around. Age of Chance is that way. This lot actually on. Oh, hang on, phone's fallen. Here we go. There we go. Right, this is this lot were actually on the C86 compilation. They were a pretty noisy bunch. They dressed up in cycling gear, performing pretty noisy indie rock, not Django at all, really quite proto-industrial almost. This is a fantastic cover of Kiss. You don't have to be Prince to learn to dance. You just have to get down to the age of chance. There you go. Fantastic cover. I absolutely love this. Track 3 is this one. Dinosaur Jr. with Just Like Heaven. Jay Mascis is one of my favourite guitarists. The way he slings a six string around and just fabulous solos just erupt out of it. I mean, it's just like, I just think he's one of the best soloists going. I mean, he basically, maybe he plays the same solo over again, but I could listen to that from here to the end of time, to be honest. And this is a brilliant cover of The Cure's Just Like Heaven. Starts off sort of more in kind of typical indie, quite heavy bass line, a bit more heavy than The Cure's version. Then you get a real heavy throwdown bit in the middle. And then after 2.5 minutes, just as you're going to go through the second heavy sort of bridge, it stops completely, dead. Like as if the tape had run out. And maybe it had. Who knows? I still don't know why it ended like that. Still don't know, but it's still a brilliant cover. And the guitar solo on here is amazing. So there we go. Dinosaur Jr.'s Just Like Heaven is track 3. Track 4, a cover of one of my favourite singles of the 80s. That single is Love Missile F-111. And this is the version that was put out by Pop Will Eat Itself, one of my favourite bands, as people will well know from watching other videos on my channel. The original was by Sig Zig Sputnik, which one of the most hyped singles of the 80s, and I thought it lived up to the hype. I mean, that song was just, that single was just a fantastic song. But this is just as good, to be honest. It's probably the first Pop Will Eat song when they showed when they were about to change over to hip hop. So it's still very, very indie sounding. Quite a lot of bass riffs, but there's a kind of a breakdown in the middle where they start rapping, and the beats are much more hip hoppy. So it's it's the first sign of what they were to become later, the dance band they were going to become. And as a bonus, there's a decent cover of Orgon Accumulator by Hawkwind on the B-side. Right, so that's track 4. Track 5, side 1, track 5 is this one. I love this. I heard, right, this is The Fall and their cover of There's a Ghost in My House, which was originally done by R. Dean Taylor. Now, it took me years to hear the original by R. Dean Taylor, so much so that this, I can't, I mean, I love the R. Dean Taylor version of it, but this is the version for me. I just absolutely grew up with this one. And the video's a hoot on this one. Really bad mid-80s video where Marquis Smith is wandering a big house and bricks sort of fades in and out of the video. And yeah, watching the video, I never realised that Marquis Smith had such an odd shaped head. I never realised that before. And I've seen him live and I never realised that. Very dusty. I need to clean the cover of this one. But this is a fabulous cover, and Smith's sort of delivery of it just suits the song down to a ground. That kind of almost bored drawl that he uses in everything he's recorded just suits it down to the ground. So there's my track 5, side 1, track 5. There's a Ghost in My House. And we stay in the 80s for the next one, and it's another alternative band. These are mainly alternative songs. I mean, they're the ones I love. And a cover that arguably I think, well, arguably it's better, but I personally think that the cover is better than the original. Just to round off side 1 in a glorious finale, we have Eloise by The Damned. The Damned's biggest hit in the UK. It was, I think, it's their only top 10 hit. I think it got all the way up to number 2. But this is fantastic. Dave Vanian obviously has Dave Vanian and the rest of the band obviously have a blast going through this. I think they just recorded this as a joke and never meant it to be such a big hit. But it absolutely fabulous cover, and it is better than the original. The flow of the song just seems to be better. I think the original was by Barry Ryan. Oh, it's one of the Ryan brothers anyway. I think it's Barry Ryan who recorded. Has it got a writing credit on this? Paul Ryan. There we go. It's got it on the back. Paul Ryan. I just think it's got a better flow to it, and I love Vanian's voice on this. I just think he just belts it out like an indie Tom Jones. Much as I hate Tom Jones, but anyway, you know what I mean. He really croons on this. I love it. Absolutely brilliant. Right, there we go. The Damned, Eloise. So that's side one. Side one. Side two. Side two is actually a lot more. Is actually pretty Beatlesque, to be honest, as you'll see. And for those of you who know what my taste is, you might be able to guess what some of these covers might be. But side two opens in fine style with the clatter of Flying Lizards and their cover of Money. Obviously, most famously done by the Beatles, but Barrett Strong, I think, recorded the... Did he record the original? Was his the original? Or was that another cover? Don't know. But, I mean, when you have a cover of a single where it basically sounds as... I'm pretty sure they did use toy instruments to record a lot of this. I mean, the percussion sounds like it's done with those squeezy hammers. I mean, it's like... I just love percussion that doesn't sound like drums or real heavy thud drums. But this is just brilliant. And the lead singer's... I'm trying to think of the best way to describe her kind of effete. Would that be a right word? I'm not sure if it is. Arrogance of the vocal is, you know, she just doesn't... Proto-Thatcher anthem this is. Really is, I guess. But I just think it works so well. So well, and I love this version of Money. There we go, Flying Lizards, Money. Complete change of pace. We actually move... That kind of opens aside in a bit of a bizarre fashion, but then we sort of move 10 or so years into the future. And the next few tracks are sort of indie dance, you know, that sort of turn of the 80s, 90s indie dancey sort of groove. And one of the best covers I ever heard. Love this. This is St. Etienne, and this is their cover of Only Love Can Break Your Heart, which is fantastic. This blew my mind when I first heard it, because I had already got After the Gold Rush. But this is just such a good cover, and it's so different. Real dancey, lots of house elements to it, kind of that Italian house sound, I guess. Not that I know what I'm talking about. But this is just brilliant. On Heavenly, St. Etienne's first single, didn't have Sarah Cracknell on it, which is she kind of turns me off a lot, St. Etienne. I can't get my head round her. Don't know why. Never have been able to. Maybe I've never given her enough chance, but I have listened to a lot of St. Etienne over the years, but this is marvellous. Absolutely marvellous. There you go, St. Etienne, Only Love Can Break Your Heart. Right, a name that's dear to me, but may not be that well known to a lot of the VC, is Danielle Dax. And in about 91, she released this. It's quite hard to see, but this is a cover of Tomorrow Never Knows, and it's the first of a trio of Beatles, pure Lennon-McCartney songs. I think they're all Lennon-McCartney, yeah. Lennon-McCartney songs. Actually, Lennon songs, I think. Or what's considered to be mainly Lennon songs, anyway. Danielle Dax was mid-80s, well, sort of mid to late 80s indie heartthrob. I thought she was brilliant with singles like Cat House and Yumma Yumma Man. Lots of really good stuff. Well, what happened was, it was quite sad because the record company got their hands on her and turned her into this sort of indie dance, tried to turn her into an indie dance queen, and she just rebelled and retreated from the record industry after this. I don't know if she ever released anything else. I've never been able to find anything. But even though it's something that she was forced into doing, I still love this. It fits the album really well. Straight after Only Love Can Break Your Heart. Lots of sort of Eastern touches. They've kind of gone for a bit of a Sgt. Pepper feel to it, but they've kept a lot of the original samples used in cut up in different ways. So I think this is a really good cover of Tomorrow Never Knows. Really love this, and I love Danielle Dax. I think she's brilliant. There we go. Track 4 is probably the most contentious cover on this little album I'm putting together, and it is Candy Flip. Strawberry Fields Forever. Yes. Total Chancers, who went into the studio, I presume, to do a one-off single to raise some dosh, and they put together this amazing cover of Strawberry Fields. I love this, and I know I shouldn't, but I couldn't give a rat's. I love it anyway. It's so similar to Tomorrow Never Knows that they could have been cut in the same studio. The feeling you get is so similar. It's presumably Tomorrow Never Knows was recorded after this, when this was a big hit. This reached number 2, like the original, in the UK charts. It's a big hit in the UK, and just phenomenal. Just love it. But then Strawberry Fields is the original is one of my favourite songs of all time, easily. So there you go. I might have to do that sometime. Try and redo. That would take forever. So many videos that would be. Run down my favourite songs. Right, so Candy Flip. Then we go into the third of my Beatles selections, and this would be track 5. Would be, or is, Susie and the Banshees version of Dear Prudence. I love this. I played this so much when I finally got this. I think I got it in about 1985. This, which is a couple of years after it was a hit, but I absolutely loved this. I thought Susie on this was perfect. I actually think I like this better than the Beatles version. I just think this is a brilliant, brilliant single. And Susie sounds absolutely fantastic on it, and she looks fabulous in the video as well. Brilliant, brilliant. So that's track 5, Dear Prudence, Susie and the Banshees. And to round off this little album, possibly now I've said, which one was it? Age of Chance, maybe Rivals, Johnny Cash's Hurt. I think this is the only cover I can think of that would possibly surpass Johnny Cash, and it is one of the most beautiful pieces of music that has ever been created. And this one is, just to round off this little album under the covers in amazing fashion, is this, which is This Mortal Coil and Song to the Siren. If this doesn't get the hairs on your back of your neck standing to attention immediately, then I think you're dead. I'm sorry, but I think you are. This, although it comes under the This Mortal Coil name, it's effectively the Cocteau Twins covering Tim Buckley. It's Liz Fraser and not Simon Raymond. What's the other guy? Oh, the brain! Why do you let me down when I'm recording videos? Have they got? Hang on. Evo recorded it. Come on, come on. Is it on here? Please, please, please. No. Oh, brilliant. I've forgotten the other guy in Cocteau Twins. Anyway, I'm sure somebody will let me know. Absolutely beautiful. Liz Fraser's vocals on here is perfect. It is just amazing. Absolutely amazing. I mean, I played this last night, and I'm sorry, tears were coming in my hair, you know, shivers going up my spine, the whole works was going on here, and it's just an amazing piece of music. So there we go. The final track on Under the Covers is Song to the Siren by This Mortal Coil, and that wraps it up. If you've been intrigued by this album actually does exist as a playlist on Amazon. I will put a link to it under down there, so that if you do so wish, you can, and you haven't heard some of these or all of them, then you can listen to it at your leisure. Right, well, I had a real blast putting this together. I do have a fair few other covers. I might do a volume 2. There might be volume 2 coming around sometime. I wouldn't hold your breath though, because I'm terrible at keeping these series up. It's as and when, as people who watched my 12x12 videos. I mean, they're sort of months apart, some of them. Anyway, I didn't think I'd spend 20 minutes talking about 12 7-inch singles, but there you go. Hope you enjoyed it. I did, and I'll see you all soon. Cheers, VC. Bye.